The Taxon Archive Lab Library, or TAL, is a database and teaching tool for landscape materials. The database is open and extendable to capture the ever-varied materials that make up Hong Kong's constructed terrains. TAL Library helps us to challenge and rethink traditions of making and material experimentation, and ultimately to re-engage with notions of environment in landscape architecture. Taxon is the classification structure that connects the library's material-based inquiry to broader ideas about structures, sustainability, design process, traditional fabrication, and site analysis in our landscape architecture curriculum. At TAL, we are after a notion of material that is qualitative and richly descriptive, but we are also looking at ideas of origin and the environmental impact of it having been extracted or processed. We are after an idea about material composition that may be variable and evolving. To quote Tim Ingold, we don't understand the properties of materials as fixed attributes, but rather as processual and relational. For example, a sampling of materials across Hong Kong will contribute to more than a catalog of geotechnical interests, but rather may build an archive of the layered alterations, flows, and imports of composites and histories of extraction or accumulation. Our material taxonomy looks beyond typical material classification and references taxonomies drawn from anthropologists, geographers, and material theorists. Providing a methodological framework fit to deal with landscape materials in all of their complexity, TAL is a unique multimedia material database for landscape architects. It is focused on sites and resources in Hong Kong.
Beyond acknowledging modern georeference databases based on quantifiable taxonomies, TAL prospects for interdisciplinary efforts by mapping the anthropogenic influences and acknowledging theoretical and artistic approaches to understanding material in detail. We trace the anthropogenic artifacts of our settlements, our technologies, and our cultures to understand complex sites that are defined through material and history. To understand and evaluate a material's varied properties, we trace its origin and production process, take sustainability measures, and evaluate its impact on the landscape context. We verify our research in the field to understand the multiple layers influencing the interrelation between landscape and material.
Despite a growing awareness of the importance of sourcing and specifying sustainable materials, many products, especially those most common in our region, unclear life cycles with details about extraction, processing, and finishing largely untraced or inaccessible. We aim to restore our knowledge of the capacity of our evolving urban resources through strategic indexing and the process of experimentation. We challenge prevailing standards of the building industry that imports its stock, as well as architectural and landscape architectural practices that have learned to comply, specifying their soils, bricks, and aggregates from somewhere else.
The taxon is also intended to provide a conceptual scaffold for students to understand relationships between various material qualities and their properties, and to structure material inquiry, manipulation, and specification as a critical and intentional practice. It reinforces a concept in landscape architectural education that landscape is process, and by extension, the materials that build our landscapes have to be understood in terms of their performance over time, their workability and weathering, and their connection to the material origins of the site itself. As a material resource, we sample the varied compositions of urban in situ materials, record their layered alterations and contaminations, and map their flows, their extractions, and their accumulation. TAL is not a static catalog, but an actively adapted resource validated through use and experimental transformation.